The revolution of this nation begins from me and you and you and you and you, and together we can. So let's do it. God bless our homeland Ghana and to make our nation great and stronger, helping us to choose right over wrong, living with the morals of freedom and justice, with service, with integrity in all sincerity. Mwintombo, I have spoken.
Hi guys, this is Solomon traveling photographer and I'm somewhere in the land of the Gonja, the warriors I call them. And I'm pleased and humbled to meet one prominent guy who has come round both Africa and outside of Africa, and he's a spoken word artist. He has done so very well for himself, for his name, for his motherland, and where he's coming from. Today, I am humbled to introduce to you. Pobee is the name, yes. So, Pobee, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you start?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Uh, so poetry, when I started, it should be sometime officially 13 years ago, unofficially 14 years or even 15 years ago. And then my journey started way back in senior high school. I studied literature in English, and I just developed a passion for the works of William Shakespeare, for Godfrey Chaucer. Then at a point, I said, yeah, I've read these people enough. What can I do for myself with that? So I began to write my own stories, maybe just seasonal greetings, Christmas greetings, courtesies. I began to write about more serious stuff in society like theft, like witchcraft, like sorcery, like drug addiction. And yes, that has been the journey. Looking back, it's been awesome.
That's great. That's great. So, before starting, did you envision yourself on the next available flight that something like that will happen to a country you have no idea of in the name of poetry, spoken word?
If I would be brutally honest and then frank, I will say no. I didn't really see myself like that. I just didn't even envision that from my small village, from my small corner, what I'm doing was actually be able to take me into Ghana, into Africa, and into some portions of Europe. I just didn't believe it. But today in Ghana, I always say that growing up, except for Professor John Evans Atta Mills, who I did not meet one on one, I have met with any other sitting president. So starting from maybe let's say John Ajukwu Kufuor, J.J. Rawlings, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. I've met all of them. And then even for Professor Mills, when he passed, I did an elegy. I mean, I wrote a special piece in honor of him. It's really been amazing, but I didn't envision this.
How was growing up like? Take me through your background.
Well, generally, I am the youngest of my parents. I grew up with my father and then my mother. Yeah, but by then, not always together.
Hmm.
So my childhood, I started school at St. Paul Methodist JHS, and at the point I didn't want to go to school again. So I became a shoe shine boy. I went around the nurses' quarters in Wa, if anybody knows those places, shining the shoes of people. But then my mom was a teacher. She's always told me the beauty of reading or of learning. So even with my shoe shine box, I will always carry books inside. When I go to the houses after finish polishing the shoes, I will sit and then be reading to some of the children of the people whose shoes I'm polishing. One day, one of these men walked to me and said, "You speak good and you read well. What school do you attend?" I said, "Thank you for asking, sir, but I did not attend any school." He said, "No, gentleman, you are too handsome. You look too promising not to go to school. I will say you should get back to school." He said that to me sometime January, almost at the end of January. On February, 14th, 2024, I walked to secondary school and then met the headmaster, Mr. Kobo, and tell him that, "Sir, I want to admitted into secondary school." And that was it. I got in there, and the rest is just history.
Wow, the rest is history. It's true. So tell me a little bit about your first experience flying. in the name of spoken word or in the act of speaking?
Well, the first that I experienced, it was within Ghana. So here in the Upper West region, flights have not always been a very available thing.
Yeah.
Sometime in 2018, you had to go into Tamale to catch a flight into Accra.
Right.
So during the year of return, I had to fly into Accra to the church of Reverend Archbishop Duncan Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to his church to do some spoken word performances. So they have to move me from Wa into Tamale. When I got into Tamale, I was actually almost 15 minutes late, so I missed the flight. Missing the flight, I just didn't. That was my first time. I didn't know what to do. I placed a call on somebody. They said they should bring me back to work because I've missed the flight. There's no way I can go to Accra. So I was just about to go when another call came to me that there was a military flight flying from Wa to come to Tamale, then from Tamale to proceed into Accra. I spoke to one of the army officers, and the man told me, okay, yes, you wait in the next 14 minutes, 16 seconds. The flight will arrive. At the point, I thought he was too aggrandizing. He was so precise with his timing. I find that a little bit aggrandizing. But I started actually counting. Lo and behold, the flight came at that exact time. I was able to board from the airport in Tamale. I flew into Accra. There were people already at the airport waiting for me. When I got down, they just received me well. We did. And then I went and then I killed the show. It was fun.
How was the experience like? Tell me.
It was nice. But you see, with what I have heard with the maybe commercial flights, I hope that maybe I will be able to get served some water. Even when I was traveling to Dubai, they served some real food. They gave something. But in the military flight, I didn't really get something like that.
I know,
So
right?
the first experience wasn't really very pleasant. But the second, third, fourth, I enjoyed them. It was fun. I enjoyed them, yes.
Yeah, so what I know is that with the short flights, because it's like 45 minutes and the rest, so by the time they'll say they are 7, oh, you are already like landing or touching ground, yeah. So that's the reason why. But tell me about your experience when you got to Accra and you, let me borrow your words, you killed it. How was the experience like? How was the feeling like?
I mean, for me, it was awesome. If there's anything that gives me joy, it is when I'm able to deliver poetry. I do it with passion. And I always say, I didn't choose poetry. Poetry chose me. My name Mwintombo was given me by my grandmother. And then Mwintombo actually means either God sent or God forsake what. Grandma told me that voices speak through me. And then sometimes when I write things, I look back. It's like I could travel 1,000 years back into time and then write things. People ask you, hey, this thing is too big for your age or something like that. But I am able to come out with something like that. So for me, the experiences really have been, it's been, I don't even know what to say. So killing it, when I got into that particular place, hey, African Americans, about 90%, they were the people that were just filling the room. And they appreciate, I remember the poem I shared, 2 poems there, Africanatics and the Days of the Common Beauty, which I just shared here. And Africanatics is much more interesting. The first line says, the scientific study of people pertaining to their body makeup and the stature might be termed as genetics. But I do not want us to talk about genetics. I want us to talk about Africanatics. What is Africanatics? The social study of the people of Africa in relation to their inherent characteristics and culture. Mwintombo. This is what I call Africanatics. And that was how I killed it.
I know we're running out of time, but just give us one of your favorite poems. One of your favorites.
Would you hear the sound? Drop your ears to the ground. For the sound do abound, I ask you, Selim, do you hear the sound? Do you hear the sound of the songs of which our forefathers sang for us as they were seated on logs of long ago? Do you hear the sound?
Do you hear the sound of the pandemonium break out in the land? The running of helter-skelter, accompanied by the tumultuous wailings of fathers and mothers for their sons and daughters as they were being separated from them in a British attack Cold War style. Do you hear the sound? Do you hear the sound of a rigorous beating on the back of noble King Takunte, that noble warrior from the tribe of Mandinke, as he was being asked by the scavengers to change the name of his African identity and be called by a new name that bears no affiliation to his blood? Do you hear the sound? Do you hear the sound of the chains? The shackles and the fetters that bounded the legs and then even the neck of noble King Takunte as he was led captive over turbulent and restless oceans far away into the land of the scavengers. Do you hear the sound? Do you hear the sound of a new Africa breaking across the horizons of Africa, reuniting the joys of fathers to their sons and of mothers to their daughters, coming together with the sound of the songs of joy? Hanjay, 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 who? Do you hear the sound?
That's a lovely one. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure.
All right, guys. I must say a very big thank you. You've heard it all. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There's more coming up. And before you go off, I want to say thank you to you all. We'll be having another edition where it's going to be more of like a camping, and it's going to be a poetic camping night. Having sit around
Bonfire.
by the bonfire, enjoying my family in East Africa would say nyamachoma. I mean kebab. I mean suya. Right? Yes.
Nyamanyoma.
Nyamachoma.
Nyamachoma.
Right.
Interesting.
Yes. So that is it for tonight, and see you.